Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Tape Deck. I am your co-host,
Yeah.
co-host Justin Kovac,
And I'm your other co-host, Randy McGee.
All right, we're just gonna be talking about albums. I bring one on board, he brings one on board. We just talk for a bit, have some fun, have some laughs. Maybe want to hang out a bit, yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we're just gonna sit here and talk for hopefully not too long, but
Not gonna keep anyone's time.
yeah,
But so it's kind of funny actually. We didn't even plan that, but both the albums we picked are like in their respective genres, very jazz influenced.
Yeah, actually, I didn't plan that out. I mean, I picked the first album, and then you picked the other one, and I was listening, and I was like, these kind of have the same sound unintentionally.
Yeah, no, definitely. So would you like to, without further ado, you want to talk about the first one we have up here?
Of course.
We got Stranger Heads Prevail by Thank You Scientist.
So,
Randy, what are your first impressions?
If I'm correct, this released in 2016, right?
Oh, God, you did some research,
I
buddy.
did do some research. I was looking into it. I wasn't familiar with it, so I figured I'd look into it.
Yes, it was in 2016. Progressive metal album.
This is their most recent album, correct?
Yeah,
Aren't they slated to release one soon?
July. I went to a concert last week, so
Okay.
and they gave me the scoop that it's going to be in July.
Okay, so that's exciting.
You first heard it here, folks. But yeah, they actually played a lot of their new material at the concert too.
So this material or
new
like
off the album.
straight new?
No one ever heard it.
Ah,
But
it's an interesting approach.
yeah, it is. But so I think the first thing to talk about, let me pull it up actually, is album art for any album because that's part of the experience.
I'm gonna look it up.
You gonna pull it up?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
They're probably gonna. Oh well. Yeah, pull that up. Okay. Let's talk about it. The album art for Stranger Heads Prevail.
I wish I could type.
Typing is it's a hard issue. Lyrics.
Well, that's what pops
Should
up.
pop up, right? All right. What does that invoke in you, Randy?
What does that invoke?
What does that have to do with the entire album? Why is it like that? What's the art behind this?
I really don't know. And it reminds me of Medusa, the top part.
Honestly, it's pretty goofy. You got this guy with octopus tentacles coming out.
So it looks like Dr. Octopus mixed with Medusa.
Dr. Octopus?
Yeah. What?
Spider-Man 2 is a great movie. I'll fight anybody. Okay, that's off topic.
That's off topic.
But anyway, is that like a lie detector or is that like a heart monitor? That's definitely not a heart monitor, right?
That definitely looks like a lie detector.
Even though
But that would make more sense with the theme of the album.
yeah, I guess all the lyrics are kind of, they're like standard emo fare.
It's very angsty.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my notes. I was like, this is very angsty.
It's very, that's like, if we want to, that's kind of like, it's like, I think it's just album art to get you to look. It's like, what's going on? You got these.
It's like shock art.
Seahorse, what's shock art?
Shock art.
What's an example of shock art? Alice Cooper.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, obviously this is very different than Alice Cooper, but it definitely makes you think, but I don't think it really has to do with the album.
Definitely not. I'll have to agree with you there. It's just there to get you. It's like, something interesting art, pretty much. Just something to look at while you're looking at your phone, since that's the whole deal for now.
Yeah.
What I have to say about the album, I've heard very general impressions here, without getting into too much detail. I think it's an outstanding album. I like it quite a lot without going into too much detail here.
You like it a lot? Yeah. I mean, okay. So I'm just gonna give some background here. I am not very familiar with progressive metal, progressive rock in any way, which is obviously what Thank You Scientist is. However, Justin has introduced me to some of these, so I am a typical hip-hop listener. That is the majority of what I listen to, probably, and more popular music. So coming from an outside perspective looking in, I actually did really enjoy the album. However, I thought it was kind of lengthy for me, but I am used to songs that are 4 minutes long. Meanwhile, the majority of the songs on here are about, I'd say,
they're
7
all
minutes
7
long.
and 8 minutes long.
So it was definitely kind of a struggle to get through, but I didn't get bored, which is, I think, interesting. Because whenever you think of a song being that long, you would think you would get bored. But
yeah.
I didn't get bored listening. So I guess it's not, I can't complain about the length. I wish it was shorter just because that was like 2 hours of listening time right in a row. But I definitely didn't get bored listening to it. So it's definitely entertaining the whole time.
Yeah, that's like common for a lot of progressive metal bands. They tend to just, the longer the song, the better in their eyes. And, it can get troublesome sometimes, I agree. I think that a lot, like, it's definitely can. It depends on the album. I think they tone it down enough. We're not above 10 minutes on any song.
Which
so.
I definitely enjoyed, because after 10 minutes, I just don't think I can sit there any longer.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. You have to be pretty, like, dynamic. And these songs are structured in a way that it's in like a pop structure, but then it like goes into more complex musical numbers.
That was definitely actually going to be one of my comments too. I think that some of these songs could actually be heard on the radio, like in the right sense, because they're definitely structured that way. And I definitely think the way that the singer sings is very pop.
Oh, definitely.
And I think that it's very catchy.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy personally, because I love catchy melodies. So I think that that's definitely the strong point for the album for me, and what I enjoy.
So you enjoyed the vocalist the most.
I do probably enjoy the vocalist the most, which is not what you're supposed to enjoy in this type of
music. That's funny,
music.
because I think he's the weakest part.
You think he's the weakest part. I enjoy him the most. I think that he does fantastic.
I think he's very consistent, and he is very good at singing. I don't think he doesn't falter. He never like messes up notes. He never misses notes. He always sounds right in point. But I think he kind of sticks to the same range and never moves. And like that kind of gets fatiguing to me hearing this. It's like the same voice every song.
But see, I think there's a point to that, because I think that it fits with the theme of the album.
What's the theme of the album in your mind?
I don't know. It's so angsty. Like I was looking up some of the lyrics, and I just feel like he's so sad.
Definitely.
I mean, I just think he's sad.
He's sad about all the songs. There's nothing happy on that album.
There really isn't. Because I was trying to follow along as I went, and I don't know. It's just I don't see any hope in the album, really.
Yeah, see that's like kind of where I personally draw fault in the album is I think the lyrical content's kind of like it's like
I do think the lyrical content is weak.
It's unimpressive. Yeah.
I would say it's weak. There's nothing that jumps out at me. It's like, wow, this is great lyrical songwriting.
It's just really
basic.
It's run of the mill. I'm sad about love or like stuff like that, or like life in general.
Yeah,
not to say that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
It's just like nothing outstanding.
Nothing jumps out, and it's like, wow, this is dynamically different from the rest of the album. And
I think a lot of the songs on this album they're like most of them are pretty dynamic and different, but then a lot of them there's a couple that are kind of similar.
Yeah,
and you can't really tell the difference, and stuff like that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
My high point is then the way they arrange the musics. The musics. I sound like an old lady, like the Olive Garden.
The Olive Garden.
But they have a lot of unison moments, which I just like a lot. Like, they all play together, and they're doing the same thing, and they're hitting really like fast runs, and it's like that's exactly what they're like.
Oh, I mean, I heard it here in my headphones, and then I heard it from you, and it sounded the same.
It's like that's like my heart right there. They're speaking right to me.
I definitely think that it's arranged well. I definitely think that. I think that the album follows a good sequence as well.
Oh, I agree 100%. I think talk about sequences. I think my two picks for the standout songs. I think Mr. Invisible, obviously.
That's one of my favorites.
And Rube Goldberg Variations.
That was also one of my favorites.
Because what was another one of your favorites?
Blue Automatic.
Oh, Blue Automatic's a good one. Yeah,
those were my three that I thought were the best.
I think Mr. Invisible is like if this band got radio exposure, I think they could actually change popular music a bit.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I like those songs for me. I think Mr. Invisible could definitely be a radio song, because I think it only clocks in at 4-some minutes.
No, it's 7.
Is it 7?
Yeah, it's 7.
Okay,
but it's if you did a radio edit, you could cut out the. You could
you could cut something and make it
cut
a
out
radio
the
song.
saxophone solo.
If you really wanted to, you could. I mean, it's good. It's a good solo.
But like, if you're trying to do radio friendly, then like they did that with Roundabout, and they cut out the 4 minutes of just noodling on the instruments, and then they just kept the music. But it's a very good song, and it's very catchy.
No, definitely.
I can't know if I can sing that. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, let's not do that. Also, we don't need copyright infringement here.
Yeah, on this backdoor basement project.
Yeah.
Rube Goldberg Variations, I just like because it's the jazziest song on the album.
Most definitely.
Because it's the only instrumental song on the album, I think.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
You get a solo from every instrumentalist. It's like that kind of jazz. Although it's heavily composed still, but the soloists at least have some free range to improvise.
But I definitely enjoyed listening to that one, even though it was so long.
It's 8.5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it might be. I think it's the second longest on the album.
Oh, I wasn't. Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's that many. Blue Automatic's 5 minutes. That's probably
Right.
why you like them so much.
I did like that, but I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Is that the one with the sax? Not the violin solo.
I believe so. I remember one of my notes was strings, so there must have been that one.
They have I think this band is like really outstanding because, I mean, like, they're interesting because progressive metal as a genre is really boring a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's everyone does the same thing and it's just a bunch of mathematical nonsense. But throwing in new instruments, I think that's one of my highlights of this album. You got a trumpet, a saxophonist, and a violinist on top of a normal metal band arrangement.
I mean, the horns and brass are fantastic, and obviously the saxophone as well. I'm just going to count them in as brass because they do that in drum corps anyway. So
you're speaking from your drum corps.
Yes.
Well, look at you, Mr. Hotshot drum corps.
I mean, the rhythm section is also amazing as well.
But I think this band, you using weird instruments is my favorite because they use a sitar and let me figure out what's on this. It need more input at one point for like 2 seconds.
I don't remember that,
It was
but
like,
I'm glad you caught it.
That's what a sitar sounds
Wow.
like.
Yep.
And then I
Just ask George.
don't know if this is the right instrument, but I'm gonna say so.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But in Psychopomp, there's a shamisen
What
at the
is
very
that?
beginning. It's a Japanese 3-string instrument.
Okay.
Where it's like bang, 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 bang.
That noise.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember that.
And like I think having different instruments is a much needed breath of fresh air in the really stale like metal environment where it's just
because
the
it's
same
usually
stuff.
just
yeah.
distortion.
It's really loud guitar, like really heavy blasting bass, which there isn't a lot of double bass on this album.
No,
either.
there isn't, which I thoroughly enjoy because I am not a large fan of double bass pedal. Personally, I just think that it's overbearing.
I think it depends on the context, but I think a lot of the problem is with production, which this album is very good with production.
Oh, it's very well produced, I think, and also mixed as well.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what production means in the metal world.
Yeah, but coming from what I listen to, which is heavily electronic, but it's heavily electronic, and like I have favorite people that mix.
Mm-hmm.
Like I definitely appreciate what they did mixing this to make it sound good in headphones.
Very crisp, yeah, crisp.
Because a lot of the time I feel whenever progressive metal is recorded, it doesn't sound good. I usually think it sounds better live than it does recorded.
Really?
Yeah.
Depends. I think it would depend. Like, whenever you go to like lower bands, like there's only a couple really big hot shots. So like if you go to lower bands, they don't have a good budget. So yeah, it probably sounds pretty. A lot of them sound not too great on the studio.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I that's why I appreciate how much time or money they spent to do that.
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
But then talking about progressive metal, I think so. Like this is nitpicky. That's a trend with me because I think you got to talk about everything. I think I think they could have done more because like this is it's still
What do you mean by more?
more jazz because
More jazz?
This is basic. This is just a normal progressive metal album with a brass section.
Okay, but
and a violinist that occasionally do other stuff, which I think is fantastic. But I would like to see more in like upcoming releases.
well, so have they progressed more towards jazz since in
It's
their
funny
releases?
because when I went to their concert, it seemed like they went less and it sounded more metal. So like they're kind of going back.
They're
to
going
that.
back to
Yeah.
that.
So like, because like, I think that because their first album is definitely the most metal, which you haven't heard.
No,
Obviously.
I haven't listened
it's like
to that.
the heavy. It's like the most rock metal.
Okay.
And this one I think is the most diverse. And I'm just saying it would have been good to see them go further and
Further experimentally,
yeah, but I
and
think-
take another risk.
I think they went safe with the new album, but I haven't heard it yet. That's just the songs I heard. But
the songs that you heard at the
they
concert.
were probably playing like singles and stuff. Like
Well, the ones that people that they're going to release first and get people excited. I mean, you can only hope that they go experimental.
But I do like seeing bands like this come out and do really new stuff and new things.
What other bands are there like this? Would you
I
say
wish I
are
could
in their
tell-
genre?
I wish I could tell you, because like, I don't know. I can't think of another band that like. Okay, there's a death metal band, a progressive, the technical death metal band called. What are they? Shoot. Okay, they
exist.
They released a new album, and they had a couple of saxophone solos on it.
Whoa! Whoa!
Yeah, no, it's really weird. Like it's just like and then like. It's like really weird, but it's awesome. I like seeing people do stuff like that. I think the riffage I think the guitar is like some of the crazy stuff he does. Like there's a lot of soundscapes. That's what I call them.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
the riff is like it's not like a traditional riff. It's like very atmospheric.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
It's very
Definitely. I would say his style.
and it's like it was very interesting to hear that. But I do think this album doesn't have a lot of dynamic difference.
I would agree with that, and I would kind of whenever I was, of course, Genius Lyrics is not the best place to find lyrics for this type of genre.
I'm pretty sure they probably have them though, right?
They have
Yeah.
them, but there's not a lot of annotations or anything.
Yeah.
But they were saying how the songs dynamically changed, and I was like listening for it, and I was like, there's not a lot of dynamic
It's
change
like
here.
the same volume the entire album.
And I don't like.
It's literally a flat line that
Yes.
occasionally will wiggle a little bit.
Yeah, our band director wouldn't like that.
Don't talk about him. I don't want to think about him anymore.
Tone, intonation, quality.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and another issue I think is they do fall into the progressive metal trap where some songs get a little too noodly for me.
Oh, I know where you're talking.
And it starts getting like it's not musical, and it's just they're kind of just showing off.
They're just like, yeah, I'm really good at playing my instrument.
Here's something really complex that doesn't really sound that musical. It's just like a bunch of mathematical jargon,
And it doesn't really fit with the song.
but like it happens. It's really cool to listen to, but like it doesn't happen too often, so it's not too much of a distraction.
Yeah.
Do you know how like that measures time?
No.
Does that mean 17 minutes?
I don't know.
If so, this is difficult.
Yeah, that must be.
Oh
well.
And
Yeah.
I like to give him compliments to his vocals though. I think his harmonies are great.
Okay,
You
yeah.
can hear the
Oh,
backing
definitely.
harmonies.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think, yeah. Well, somebody else does background vocals besides him, correct?
Yeah, so a couple other members sing as well.
Because I thought they did really well too. I think that all of those were.
I believe when I saw them, who else? I think the guitarist and the bassist, not the bassist, saxophonist. Something I think they all sometimes just sing
Just
something.
kind of saying something, yeah. But I thought that those were done well. I definitely agree.
But I'm
with that.
kind of BSing right now.
Well, we could get to the rating.
All right, what would you give this album?
Okay, well,
Out of everything we've talked about.
out of everything we've talked about. Now, is this my do you want me to be super critical or do you want me to be super subjective?
Well, I think it's to hear your thoughts on the album. It's whatever you think it deserves. Out of
Okay. Let's see here. I mean, coming from not knowing much about this genre,
yeah,
I would definitely give it. I'm gonna give it an 83.
83 out of 100.
That's what I'm gonna do.
That's pretty fair. I was gonna give it probably like 85, 87 range.
okay.
I think that's like, to me, so like in my opinion, this is to clarify. I think 50 means it's run of the mill. It's an average album. They're not gonna expect much from it.
That would be my definitely.
I think
my rating
50
as
is
well.
like par for the course. So like an 85 for me is like a very good, near excellent album. It's like it's very different. Could do some more, but I think it's pushing boundaries in the right way. It's doing what progressive metal is supposed to do, not just to be a mental gymnastics for you to shred for 15 minutes.
Yeah. No, I definitely just because I actually enjoyed listening to it, and it's not a genre that I typically listen to.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's
that's-
not. I think that part of that is he's not a screaming vocalist.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I personally don't enjoy screaming vocals and Cookie Monster vocals, and I
You don't like the Cookie Monster.
yeah, no, I do not. I don't. I just it's not for me. Just like you don't really like auto-tune.
Oh yeah. Well, we can get into that.
Well, that'll be for another episode.
But so yeah, Heads Prevail, great album at a aggregated rating 84 out of 100.
Yeah. pretty decent.
All right, moving on. I'll let you introduce this
Yeah,
one.
so the next album we're going to talk about today is Swimming by Mac Miller, the almost posthumous effort by Mac Miller.
The posthumist?
Posthumous?
Posthumous.
Yeah, see, I can't say words. Posthumous. Yep, that's how you say that word.
Posthumous.
Posthumous.
But I should clarify my music. So like, I like everything to a degree, but I am not an avid hip hop listener. I don't like a lot of the lyrical content, and I think that this bass heavy vibe with a lot of music, I don't like the way that's produced, and I don't like the way they write lyrics most of the time. But like he was with Thank You Scientist, I think this album is quite great, to put it lightly.
Quite great.
So he just pulled up the album cover, and this one at least more can directly pertain to the album's themes.
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean,
so the album is swimming.
Swimming, correct.
And if that's a general theme with the album, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
For him treading water. This is right before he died, right?
Correct. Yeah, right before the overdose. Yes.
This is obviously something he was struggling with, and he was trying. So like with this album art, is that a coffin? Or like, it looks like there's a head thing, like a window or something.
It definitely looks like a coffin. Because remember in the music video for Self-Care,
I haven't seen
you have seen the music video. Yes, I've showed it to you before. Remember he's in the coffin, he breaks out of the ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that you've seen it before.
That's probably a coffin.
Yes, it's definitely a coffin.
So yeah, he was not at a good point, obviously.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean,
most of the songs are just trying to take care of yourself, but like failing and going back to bad habits, but then also seeing a light.
I think that I was actually going to say this for a little later, but we already delved into this. I think that self-love and self-care is definitely a common theme of the album, but I think it gives the listener the illusion that Mac is getting better. I think if you listen to it once, you think that Mac is on the right track. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But I think after you give it a second and a third listen, you see that he's actually still struggling. He's actually calling out for help.
Yeah.
He's actually saying, I'm not okay. All these things that I'm trying to make myself better, they aren't working.
Yeah.
And I think that it's his warning to the rest of us that we need to get help whenever things like these happen.
Exactly. I do agree with that. I think it's very much he's using it as an outlet to express how his mental issues that he can't normally describe in other ways. And I think that's very, very heavy, and it's a very... He uses very relatable, like, it's very relatable and very, like, relatable lyricism, you know, it's like something that any run-of-the-mill person could listen to and find some meaning for it.
Oh, most definitely. I think that he does it in such a beautiful way sonically, and on this album, he sings the most, and I think...
Yeah, it's not a lot of rap.
There is not a lot... See, I wouldn't call this a true rap album.
Oh, sorry. I would throw this into the alternative hip hop.
Oh, most definitely. Experimental, alternative, yeah.
It's not really a normal hip hop album.
And I'm glad that Pharrell encouraged him to sing more, because...
Oh, is that true?
That is true. Pharrell is the one that encouraged him to actually sing, because Mac didn't believe that he had a good voice. And I think that his voice actually shines through on this album.
Oh yeah, he's definitely not. Like his singing, it's like, it's not an opera singer.
It's not stellar, you know, but it's not.
I think that's kind of a charm to it.
I think
it's some normal guy trying to.
I think it's relatable.
It's a normal guy who got big, who doesn't want to be in this big world where everyone knows what he's doing.
Right.
And then so he's just doing. It's a normal, relatable person. You know, it makes it much more relatable that he's not like a super fleshed out voice.
Yeah, I mean so. I think it's very organic.
Exactly. Yeah.
It has a good organic sound.
There wasn't too much There wasn't too many effects on his voice.
No, it was pretty clean, and that's definitely different.
Yeah.
Than we're used to from this genre as well.
Yeah, I've never heard any of his other albums, so I can't even speak to his recent other music.
He never used a lot of auto-tune.
Okay.
I will say that. But being a fan of Mac Miller since his first album, Blue Slide Park, that was actually the first CD I purchased was Blue Slide Park.
You really was it a Kanye CD?
It was not.
Randy's a Kanye fanatic.
But Blue Slide Park was my first CD. So listening to Mac Miller from those days until now, seeing him grow as an artist.
Yeah, what's the
to this
progression
album,
there?
I mean, I would say Blue Slide Park is your typical indie underground rap album.
Okay.
Because it was the first indie underground rap album to go #1, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably an impressive feat in a genre as big as hip hop.
Especially coming from an artist from Pittsburgh, and
a white artist.
A white artist as well. Well, I mean, let's not get into those dynamics.
Oh, I'm just saying, I'm not
because remember, Vanilla Ice had the first #1. Blah blah.
Oh,
blah.
of course. I'm just saying, it's like it's like relatable to jazz back in the 50s and 40s. Like it's predominantly African American culture.
Yes.
And then it can be hard.
But see, the thing is, he's actually respected in the culture.
He
yes.
respects
extremely respected in the culture because of the way that he made music.
Yeah.
And who he worked with and the time that he took.
It's not like he's taking it for granted. He's definitely in with it. And he's part of it.
Definitely. And I mean, I think we saw that in the outpouring from the community after
was supported,
his death.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was very upset that he did not win the Grammy. I thought that he should have won the Grammy.
The Grammys are a big mess of just people paying off people to win.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's for another episode.
If you want to get into it, talk about that.
Yeah.
But I think so. Me speaking from music where I'm gonna throw some words out here.
Oh boy.
So yeah, we talk about the lyricism, very above par in my opinion, because like, okay, so like, obviously he can get a little like, I know, like a little too like hip hopish for me, like jive-ish, or like he's like very explicit. Like I think that's okay because like he grew up in that environment.
I mean, yeah,
around people. It's like that. That's what the genre is, and I've kind of come to get used to that. But it's very meaningful. It's not just like I fucked your bitch, stuff like that.
It's true.
It's a very like meaningful.
You can tell it's thought out. It was written down before it was recorded. It was not freestyle.
And it wasn't just a meaningless album to like talk about drugs, sex, and money.
No. It was actually kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
In a sense.
That he was revoking all of that.
Yes.
And then I think as a rhythmist, is that a word?
A rhythmist?
A rhythm artist, a rhythm rapper, a rapper man.
What are you trying to say?
His flow is very smooth and consistent. He goes from one thing to another, and there's no hiccuping, and there's nothing to there's no stuttering like I do.
I mean, one thing that I think that people do appreciate about him is that he is able to. What am I trying to say? I think he's able to keep in pace with what people would say is a good rapper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not choppy. He's not just rapping in triplets the whole time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There's a time and a place. But he's able to change flows. He's able to be diverse. It's not the same thing the whole time. Yeah.
I do think that like this is because I'm picky, but like some songs I think can get a little too repetitive and drag on a little too long. My least favorite songs on this album are Jet Fuel because I think those lyrics are stupid. I mean,
Jet Fuel definitely is not one of my favorite songs.
I never run out of jet fuel.
Yeah, that one's definitely
What's
not.
he writing about? I like the music though; it's very nice in that song.
The background to that song is good.
I don't care for self-care, but I respect the song. But
it's the most poppy song on the album.
That was obviously the biggest single meant to be pushed out.
Yes. I mean, it's the most poppy. I mean, my 4 top favorite songs on the album are Ladders, Self-Care, 2009, and Small Worlds.
My favorite, I think I have 2. I think stand out, which is weird, but I like Ladders and I like What's the Use.
What's the Use is a very, very good song, and I figured that was going to be one of your favorites. I mean,
both of them are the funky ones.
Yes. I mean, Ladders is amazing.
It is. It's so good.
And I love Small Worlds, but I've also gotten very into John Mayer recently, and John Mayer co-wrote Small Worlds with Mac Miller, so...
That's weird.
Yes, and actually John Mayer did a very nice cover of Small Worlds at the tribute concert.
Oh, wow.
Look it up on YouTube. It's pretty good.
It's really nice.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I think Small Worlds is definitely one of the best. And 2009 is amazing, especially if you're from Pittsburgh and know the story of Mac Miller.
It's a very progressive. It has a progression to it. It like moves into it's like a story.
I love the piano.
An introduction, a rising point, and then a climax.
Yes.
I think I'm missing more. So any high school English teachers, I'm sorry.
And you know, it's funny. Two of my favorite songs on the album are 5 minutes long.
That's weird. So like they can hold your attention.
Right.
I think my favorite thing about this album is that not one song sounds the same from the next.
Yeah.
It's every single beat is weird and like unconventional to a degree. Like some of them are like really weird and like, you know, it's obviously everything's in 4.
Well, you know.
Who cares about time signature?
Yeah, who cares?
I think that like the beats are, it's not all just.
Yeah, but see, look at the diversity of production that you have.
Yeah, you have there's a lot of names everywhere.
I mean, obviously Mac is on at least half of them as a producer, but
Let's look at the personnel. Because I want to get into that.
I mean,
too.
Thundercat, I believe, plays on this album.
Yeah, he plays on track 3 apparently.
Steve Lacy plays on this album. I mean, John Mayer plays. John Bryan, who has worked with Kanye West and many other great artists.
Of course, you would know that.
Yes, but
Thundercat's my favorite. We could talk about him
I mean,
all day.
you could talk about Thundercat all day.
Wait, what track is he on? He's on the one he starts singing. He's like, ooh, oh, it's Once a Use. Okay, that makes sense.
Of course.
It's so good. It's a good catch.
It's very, very catchy.
All the songs are catchy, which I think in this genre is what you look for.
Oh, definitely.
You look for very catchy songs that are still very meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
The music is like it's funny. It's lo-fi in ambient in a high production setting. That's how I worded it.
I think it's because of the use of the live instruments, which I really appreciate.
Yeah,
because you don't hear that in hip hop a lot anymore.
You heard a lot of bongos. Like I can see right there.
Yes.
You got congas, bongos.
So it was so refreshing to hear African and Caribbean drums.
Which was the 2009s with all the strings, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love strings. Strings and hip hop will never not sound good together.
I agree. It's like it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear a bunch of random instruments, not just electric production over and over again. You know, it's so nice to hear something different.
It really is.
But
the one thing that I guess don't like about this album is Mac doesn't work with the producers that he worked with whenever he first started.
is that really a fault though?
It's not a fault, but I kind of wish, since it is his last album, unfortunately, that it would come full circle. You know what I mean?
You mean like they all fully it closed.
It's a full culmination of his sound, like from beginning to end.
Everything went into that.
And unfortunately, like I think that he finally reached his full potential on this last album. But
yeah, and then he was cut down.
And we'll never get to hear another one of what he can do because he was so experimental. I mean, if you listen to Blue Slide Park and then you listen to Watching Movies in the Dark or The Divine Feminine or any of his other albums, they all sound different. None of his albums sound the same. Yeah. And I think that this is the full combination of all of his other albums coming together. So I was kind of excited to hear what he could do after this. But, we'll never know. And I don't believe that there are any unreleased tracks either.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much. He probably didn't work too much outside of it. He didn't seem like he was enjoying it.
I mean, he put a lot of work into this album. I know
he put a lot of work, but it seemed like it was eating him. Like all because he was talking a lot about, I forget what songs they are, but he talks about like I'm rich. There's like lyrics along the lines paraphrased like I'm rich and famous, so obviously I'm gonna be happy, but that sounds pretty
I'm not.
ironic and like pretty like no, I'm not happy and like this isn't what I like doing, but I gotta do it because like I have a big fan base and everyone's looking up to me. So I and he was very honest, and that's all I look for in a musician.
Yeah,
it's honesty and like a dedication to the craft.
Well, there's definitely a dedication to the craft there. I will definitely agree with that.
That's funny. I actually wrote that "Small World" is dumb lyrically on my notes.
The world is so small.
I think that's why. It's one of those things that's kind of like Jet Fuel, where it's like he just kind of says something and then it's not, and then it's like, well, okay,
I like that one. I mean, I definitely agree that "Small World" is better than Jet Fuel. I definitely agree that I think Jet Fuel is the worst song on the album.
I said "Wings" is interesting to me. I think "Wings" is the one where it's like. It's like really weird.
Oh, Wings is definitely.
I said it was interesting.
It's definitely a different sound. Yeah.
But I do think that sometimes lyrically, once again, it falls into a little bit of a stereotype where he
But
starts,
I mean, you know,
he talks about riding in his Bugatti, or not Bugattis.
I
That's
don't
the
remember.
first sports car
Why
I
was
thought
that
of.
the first one you thought
Like,
of?
he's
Nobody drives Bugattis anymore.
He throws in all these brand names and talking about like that, but like I think once again it is an ironic thing, but you know sometimes I just can't like relate to that kind of writing because I'm not used to it.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else you got? Because that's about all I got.
We can go right into.
Go right into.
I think we did 17 minutes on each album.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
What would you like me to rate it first?
Yeah, you can go first.
So I think it's a solid, like for a man who is very picky with his hip hop, and I think solid work. It's a very nice album. I still am not quite used to the lyrical nature, so I think the explicit way of writing, so I don't really follow with that sometimes, and with the inclusion of some of the more like rappy traditional rap songs, which still like a sound like boom, like that. I think I would go with that's hard.
Oh,
It's either like I'm not. It's not gonna be low.
I'm so curious as to what you're gonna give it.
This is gonna sound low, but it's like either 75 or 80. I can't decide.
We'll give you a 77.5.
77 and 77 and 3/16.
At 3/16.
Yeah.
Okay, 77 and 3/16.
I think it's a solid album, but I still like. I wasn't like. I think it's really good, but I still couldn't. It still couldn't pull someone from as far away extreme background all the way in.
Okay, but I mean, it definitely
Yeah,
pulled you.
it was good. I would listen to it again.
Okay, that's the struggle I have with you whenever I get you to listen to hip hop. Can I get you to listen to it again?
Yeah, this is an album I would listen to again, and I would probably add to my vinyl collection.
Wait, because I'm probably going to be the next purchase that I make for my vinyl collection. Yes, I mean, so I'll get to my rating now. I mean, this was one of my top 5 albums of 2018. Probably top 3.
Oh, actually, no, I'd probably agree with that.
Of 2018, yeah. I mean, it's definitely up there. Me personally, I definitely think it's top 5, top 3. And Kanye released an album in 2018.
Wasn't it garbage?
No, I love Ye.
Which one was it?
It was the one with Ghost Town.
Is it the one that had like 5 songs?
7.
I thought most people didn't like it. Weren't you an outlier?
I was.
Okay.
You know, now that we're a year out from the album, more people appreciate it. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
How it always goes. But and also Denzel Curry released an album, which I'm thinking about bringing onto the show at some point. Which was probably actually my favorite album of 2018. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this a 94.
Oh, whoa! That's really good.
A 94. That's what I'm going to give this. And I will my answer is I will never give it 100 on this show. So
Same here.
94 is
I don't think it'd ever go higher than 95.
I would. But
I could maybe swing a 996 if I'm feeling it on that day.
okay. But I mean I'll definitely go to a 99, but I'm going to give this one a 94 just because I think it's done so well. It's such a great combination of sound. It's so different from everything we heard in 2018, I think.
You know, I'll bump mine up to an 80.
Okay. So we have
80 and 1/16.
80 and 1/16. Wow.
But
So
an aggregated rating of around 86, 87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is around what we got.
Thank you, Science just got 83.
83.
So this is 87. They're like right in the
they're
ballpark.
like right around in the same range.
So very
same
good
quality of albums.
Recommended to listen
Oh, definitely.
for both of them.
So I guess
For fun, I might just bring on a really bad album too, just to hate on it the whole
definitely.
time.
We should definitely do that at some point. One week we should just get like 2 totally trash albums.
Oh, there's plenty. I can find plenty.
Oh, me too. Oh, just 2018 was full of some, trust me. And 2019 is full of them. 2019 has been a bad year for music, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Personally. Really? I've listened to about 3 good albums this year that I've been like, I really like this.
King Gizzard just released an album. I
actually added it to my library.
I think it's pretty good.
I haven't given it a good listen yet. But
Periphery released an album. I don't like Periphery anymore. I think they're pretty average. They're a progressive metal band, and they kind of do the same thing.
I mean, the only hip hop albums I've really liked this year are 21 Savage's and Schoolboy Q's, which just released yesterday.
You aren't a fan of Ski Mask? Isn't he really big now?
You know, I don't know.
I don't like him. Like I can't stand him. Like it's okay if you do, but like, I can't stand him. But I do like his Renaissance album art. I think
the
funny.
album art for that
That's
album.
funny.
It's Stokely's definitely has the best. That might be the best album art of 2019, but it's definitely not the best album of 2019. I think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This year's just been bad for music.
Yeah, really. Nothing's really
Nothing
I
stuck out
care
to
about.
me. I mean, like I said,
Well, Starbomb released an album. I should listen to that. They're the Ninja Sex Party group with Aaron Hansen. And so it's like the rap one with remember the white rapper guy with it who just sings like video game raps. They're a comedy band.
Oh God, I love comedy bands.
All right, well, so we signing off here.
Yeah, I guess.
Stay tuned for whenever the next one is. I think a weekly, right?
Well,
Attempted.
Well, we can attempt weekly. Yeah, hopefully.
As often as we can.
You know, 2 broke college students just trying to make it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you folks later.
This is Randy signing off.
This is Justin. I like pizza.
Okay.